Hello everybody, Nell here from the Four Corners, and welcome to a video talking about some good news on the January 1st, 2022 Ninjago sets. So recently we've been talking about this information on how those Evo sets have no story to them. They're just going to be proper toys, and that's kind of disappointing and kind of discourages a lot of people from actually buying these sets. But today, Tommy Andresen, a writer for Ninjago, has given us some really good news on this. So he says that while LEGO didn't really say that he needs to incorporate these sets in the show because these sets specifically don't have a season to them, he went above and beyond and actually made it so that some of these actually pop up in the season. And the reason I'm kind of impressed and worried about the same time is because the upcoming Ninjago season has to have its own sets, its own wave of sets to somehow force in the show. And it's always not easy. Many sets usually have problems with lacking too much screen time. But here he says that he's able to not only put that in, but also put in these sets. And with that, we can kind of assume which sets are actually going to pop up in the show. The way he says he forced the Evo products in is kind of telling me that it won't be really essential to the story. It's more of some side vehicles, like the Katana 4x4 or the dirt bike in Prime Empire and Seabound. So just using that logic, we can kind of assume that the sets that actually make it into the future seasons won't be the dragons, because dragons need a proper story to them and they're not really apparent in Ninjago right now unless you have the elemental ones, which are all core to the story, and it doesn't look like they're changing the season for these sets. I think you can also rule out the Ultra Combo Mech because that looks like something that the ninja would use in some type of final battle, and also the Ninja Dojo Temple, because why would the ninja move out of the monastery? I want the monastery to stay as a base. The only things that I see staying from this wave is probably the actual ninja suits, which I'm not sure if I'm okay with it. I would like it if they had the Season 11 suits and maybe shifted towards something more serious to match whatever tone the season is going to have. And we can also expect the cars and mechs to make it in for maybe a few scenes where the ninja are opening up with the season. Just very small stuff like that, kind of like how they incorporated the legacy sets in modern seasons when those sets were on shelves. The actual ninja weren't the one driving it, but instead it was someone else. So I kind of feel like maybe Lloyd's race car Evo or Jay's race car will be driven by someone else in the background of these seasons. But other than that, don't expect things like the Ninja Ultra Combo Mech and stuff like that to actually pop up in the show as something important, because that season is not going to be changed just for these. The remaining ones that probably don't make it into the show might be seen in those shorts that are supposed to come out pretty soon, but those aren't supposed to be connected to the actual Ninjago story. So if you want these Evo sets, I'd say wait a little bit and actually see what pops up in the show if that's going to be a huge deciding factor for you. Because right now it's pretty hard to tell. All I can see is maybe the cars coming in, but none of the dragons for sure, especially since they don't really match the art style that Ninjago is going with. If they do pop up in the show, that new animation company for Ninjago, they will change these up so much, because when they don't like something in LEGO form, they like to make it their own and change it up as something they like. But right here, when I mention things like I don't want the Evo suits to replace the Season 11 ones, or the Dojo Temple to replace the monastery, it's not that I don't like these things. I think the Evo suits might be even a little better than the Season 11 suits, or the Dojo Temple itself is a great ninja base. It's just that I don't want the special continuity that we've been getting ever since Season 11 to break. And that's not just in terms of character, it's in terms of vehicles we've been seeing for a few seasons, or certain weapons that ninja have been using, or the actual suits themselves. Some of them are likable, some of them are not likable, but I like this continuity we've been getting for a very consistent amount of time, and I don't want these new sets to be forced in and break them and replace maybe the Shuricopter or Katana 4x4. However, that is all for this video, looking at some new information on how these Evo sets are actually going to be in the show. To what extent, it's probably very, very minimum, because Season 16 has its own sets to deal with. Thank you for watching, and as usual, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.